Hello, guys. We are the three igniters,
Yes!
and I am here to ignite you into taking action on changing your life, changing, exploring what is it that needs to be better in you and for you.
And I'm here to ignite your relationship with food and how you look at the sensual pleasure in all of life that's around you.
And I'm here to ignite the leader that lives within you, your leader self, and to help you to connect with yourself and your loved ones.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so food woman here. The brain goes to it's Thanksgiving weekend, certainly in Canada, and we've got people that are watching from around the globe, so it doesn't count necessarily for everybody in the same context, or they have Thanksgiving at other times of the year. But it's not even just about, so part of it became maybe around food, but also about what Thanksgiving means and actually giving thanks, and sort of around that is a bit of a spin, right?
Nice.
It was like, how do we start to talk around gratitude and appreciation in a different way? And I just thought it's such a beautiful weekend, and I'm especially excited. My mom's coming into town. So yeah, that was kind of what was on the brain for me. But girls, anything else?
I like it. I really like it. I think it's perfect for this time of year, like just as a whole. I mean, I think there are lots of places where this is harvest time, right? Where they're giving thanks to, a lot of places are giving thanks to what has been produced over the summer. And I love the tie-in with the gratitude through Thanksgiving and the food aspect, food as a metaphor, right? For what are we feeding ourselves, I think is.
That's my world. Yeah.
So this is actually bringing more of Donna stuff into our conversation, and I totally love it. I can't forget. I don't think I will ever forget seeing Donna grabbing I don't know, an orange or a cucumber, and looking at it. I say, oh, God, you're gorgeous. So I love this subject. Food and being grateful for me are two powerful, very powerful things. And the fact that we eat 2 or 3 times a day, having the opportunity to at least use that to feel gratefulness is amazing, which is something that I also learned from Donna. So Donna, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Oh no, this is a topic I could talk and talk and talk, right? I think it is so many levels for me, right? And you've both experienced my food, and I think it goes back to so much of what we talk about in the other episodes around language. And what I do is not only I infuse my food with it, but it's my heart's right in there, right? So a lot of times people will say, God, your food's so good. And I'm like, thank you. I used to have this, you've got the same tongue as me. Like it used to be this thing where it's like, oh my God, we have the same spots, our taste buds, blah, blah, until I really started to really understand this energy, this essence that comes from me that I put in it, right? But I think, and to your point, Yasmilde, about, giving thanks. It is those moments throughout every day. I mean, so often we're grabbing food. We're not sitting down to enjoy it, right? We're not sitting down to have that moment of a meal. And it obviously comes so full to focus at a time like this, right? At Thanksgiving, so that we want to use this as this one opportunity to really soak in and be grateful. Yet for me, it is that. And again, autumn and fall and harvest is so much one of my favorite seasons, but it's to say, how do we do that more often, right? So yeah, I certainly don't want to take the whole talking about food and Thanksgiving. I do want to talk about those words though, right? Because it is conversation around giving thanks, and we sit around the table and eat, but then we sit around the table and have other conversations with people. But how do we sit in that space of true ritual of food and gratitude of food and gratitude of the people that are there with us, and again, it doesn't have to be these big elements, right? Spaces like Thanksgiving is, but how do we tap into that a little bit more each and every day? Yeah.
I actually, and this is true for several holidays during the day, that wasn't part of my upbringing. In Cuba, we never celebrated Thanksgiving. We don't have fall. That's all year long summer.
Story for you. And
right. And so, and I don't think, just thinking back into it, I don't think gratefulness, the word, the action was never part of it either. I am a part of a generation that grew up outside of religion, because officially, and I say this between brackets because there is no government sanctioned religion in Cuba. But most people during those times could practice Catholicism. And that was very much looked down by the government for my generation. And so nobody really connected with that. Being grateful was not something we spoke about. We would always talk about doing, giving, and not gratefulness wasn't in the vocabulary. So both things, when I came here, I had a learning curve for both things. And I think that is true for a lot of Latin people out there. It is, and I think it ties up with the habit, it's a cultural habit actually, of finding or looking at the bad side of things, of keeping your mind in the lack mentality. I don't have, I couldn't do it. There are other people that have more and better. I'm not supposed to. I wasn't born for it. Just all those kind of things, right? Without really tapping into the opportunity to experience the power of being grateful. And that's something that came to my life only in the, I don't know, last decade and a half, and have totally transformed it. So having a period of time during the year where you can do it actively, to me, it's a beautiful thing. But to bring it into your everyday thing, I think that for a lot of us, it needs intention, which is, by the way, something that three of us are going to be talking about in an event coming on October 25th.
Yeah.
And so for these kind of things, I think there should be an intention of what if I bring that into my life? What if I allow myself to be grateful for, I don't know, a couple of minutes a day? And that actually has huge impact on the way we feel, the way we see the world, the way we think about everything, ourselves included. So yeah, what do you think, Lisa?
Yeah, I've been sitting here listening, and there's all kinds of stuff going on inside of me as I'm listening to both of you. So I'm just going to take a moment and take a breath and breathe into it. So Donna, as you were speaking, the words that really popped out for me was energy and essence that comes from me. And as I considered that in the context of gratitude, to be grateful for who I am. And so a little like you too, Yasmilde, I grew up in Canada. I grew up in Montreal, and we celebrated Thanksgiving and all that, but I never really thought about gratitude, like in terms of being grateful. Yes, I was happy. I lived in, my parents provided a really nice home for us, and I had lots of opportunities to do things. Gratitude wasn't something that I really embraced until very recently. And you are so correct in the power of that. And as I consider where I'm standing today in this moment, I started a gratitude process over the summer. Every morning, doing a gratitude meditation. The first thing I do when I wake up, I do this gratitude meditation. And what an impact it has had on my life. And so the words that you said, Don, about the energy and essence that comes from me, when you think of the energy and essence that comes from each of us, how often do we stop to be grateful for the fact that we chose to be here and that each of us has something truly unique and wonderful and valuable to add to the tapestry of what we call this world and this reality. And so there's something huge in this for me, especially as I look out onto my screen and I see the two of you, and I am filled with gratitude for what the two of you have brought into my life in terms of such a deeper connection to myself in my spirituality, in that magic. At the beginning of this year, I said, I wanted to bring more play into my world, into my life. And you two have certainly played a huge role in that. And so I want to take the opportunity, look at me about
That's okay. Thank you.
Say thank you. And how grateful I am that I have created you both in my world and that I have you both in my
world. So that's why we're making magic together.
Exactly.
Mindfulness is a part of that.
And it's funny because when I thought of this topic, it was yesterday when I was out walking, and it became, yes, Thanksgiving is this thing that's around us, but it is truly about the gratitude and what those words mean. And for you saying it's great that I teach this in a way, and again, feeding yourself and food, but like you, and I think Yasmilde, as much as she says for 10 years it's coming to the forefront, it truly has been for me in the last year to really embody more and more what those words are. And I too do, listen to certain pieces because it is, and one particularly, like it's grace and gratitude and what those words, the depth of it, and how taking, it doesn't matter, that one moment, that one breath, and for me, I know that I can trigger it with food instantly because we're already gifted with those spaces, so to speak, of we eat, just sit for a minute, right? And if I only take that time in a day, I know how powerful it is. But it is to look at, and I know that I have this beautiful joy essence that I look at the world from, and I embody that. I appreciate it so much, and it becomes part of my life dance. I don't know. It gives me that harmony. I don't know how else to say it. I could probably say a million words, but it's God. Thank you, God, for me, for getting into that space. And then to, like you said, manifest these beautiful people into my life that ground me more to be who I am, right? And to bring that expression out is one of the most beautiful gifts, and something that I thank you and anybody else that I come into contact with now in a very different lens, but to thank myself for thanking me for finding you and finding myself. So yeah.
And it's the aspects that we bring into our lives, right? Donna, you and food. Oh my God. The relationship that has changed for me through food, through you. Like you said, taking those moments. I remember you said once, in shopping or in creating, think of color, right? And so now it's like when I cook, I think of color. What colors do I have? Taking those moments to, when I'm eating, to truly taste what is there. And as we all know, for me, life is a metaphor. And so as I think about that in food, am I willing to take the time to truly taste my life, right? So when I go for a walk and I'm in the woods part, I am I taking the time to truly take in all that's there? If I'm just out in a field, am I taking the time to notice the change in, oh, in the summer it was full of crops and now it's all, cropped down and there's other things and there are new and different flowers that are flowering at this time, and so that appreciation for life and for taste and for touch and for color, right? It all of that as a result of our conversations and experiences around food.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in a tactile world. Like I'm like, I am such this feely in all senses, but I'm like, right? And it's funny because this morning, just on my Facebook personal, I posted, I go out for a walk first thing in the morning, and it was like the frost. Like I could see my breath this morning, right? And for other people, it's like, oh my God, winter's coming. It sucks. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like this other side of life happens for me. It's like, oh, I see my breath, not just this thing that I know I'm doing, but I'm like, I see you. You're there. We're there, right? Like it's this. It is. It's like it's a communion. Like for me, it's this beautiful communion, right, of nature. Anyway, sorry, it's a topic I told you I could talk about. Anyway.
So I'm listening to you guys, and listen, more than a privilege. It's really one of the things I am super grateful for in my life, and that is how I started tapping into that feeling a decade ago, was through doing what you just did with me, and I take it, and I'm grateful for it because I learned how to be grateful starting with the people in my life, the people that were helping me, that were introducing me to ways of discovering myself, and opening up to different beautiful and bigger things. So, but what I'm listening to you guys, and I think, well, I work with energy, and one of the things that in my world is most talked about and taught about probably is that being grateful is one of the state of minds that can bring you faster to a higher energy vibration, which means you are more able to enjoy and attract emotions like love, the appreciation, the joy, peace, connection, to everything, not only like the way Donna talks about nature and stuff, is that people, things, everything. And one of the, I remember going through a training in meditation. Now that you mentioned meditation and gratefulness, once, and listening to this idea that I'm going to share with you now, and having an aha moment, right? One of the things that were being discussed in the lesson was how do you connect with the way you eat and the things you eat so that you can feed your own energy with the energy of what you're eating. And one of the things that was being discussed is you can infuse of energy what you're eating, what you're about to eat. You can bring that sentiment of gratefulness for it, and that's exactly what you're going to be eating. Right? It's also a process of healing what you're eating. We are, so in such a state, society, where everything has toxins, impurities, and not only because of the way it has been cultivated and harvested, but on the energies of the human interactions in between. A lot of what we do has, I heard somebody saying that the way we live is can be poisonous to our planet. The way we do agriculture, we do transportation, we do all of that, and all of it comes to most in embedded in most of the things that we put in front of us, right? So a way to cure that, to heal it, is bringing that gratefulness to it. And so then she says, well, that's why I think at the beginning of civilization, we started doing that as a habit, because there was such a thing as saying grace at the table, right? At bringing that communion within with the members of the family and the food that you had in the table. And so that had a lot to do with the energy that people were creating in those um, environments. And I think we have gone all the way to the opposite end of being extremely jaded and dismissing these kind of practices. And I'm not saying that you go back to the ritualistic way of doing it, but to really experience it, to giving yourself that opportunity, because it is not about what you come up with in terms of speech. How do I say it right? How do I, say better? How will it sound? It's more a state of mind, a state of being. It's more important the breath you take, like Lisa was saying, and take the time to, which is seconds, by the way, to connect with what's happening, than going ahead and without doing that, saying stuff. It's not about the stuff that comes out of your head. It's about the stuff that come out of your heart after that breath and that connection. And it always leads to peace. There is always this magic that happens after you connect with gratefulness. It's a joy that goes into every cell of your body and transforms your experience for the day and the experience of absolutely everybody that you will touch.
Absolutely. And I think, in my practice, words and the vibration of words. And when I think of the word gratitude, right? And the vibration that the word held prior to a few years ago, I can actually remember a resistance to it in my body when I said it. It was like, why should I have to be grateful? Like this, I deserve this. And not in a, FU way, but just in this, I deserve this, right? And noticing now the different vibration that the word holds inside of me, in that, thank you for everything, right? Not resisting. So let me reframe that. Coming to a place of non-resistance and being open to, I am the creator of my world, and I am grateful for every experience. Doesn't mean I enjoy every experience, right?
Well,
you're not meant to. If you do, you don't learn.
Right. And I think that is key, because I think I'm going to make up a story that a lot of people feel that when they are in gratitude, they must always be a certain way. And for me, in the journey, it's been a discovery of gratitude for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, because in every experience, there is a lesson, there is a learning, there is a growing.
So, speaking around language, one of the things for me, so that I can get into these spaces of what does that word really mean for me, besides just that resonance part, it's like I break things down. So when I could start to really get to that space, it became gratitude, great attitude. How do I have this great attitude towards, and then it goes from pushing it a little bit, right? versus now when I use that word because I've softened into what that word is through my heart, like what Yasmilde says, then it becomes right. And yeah.
It is a very expanding word when you connect to the thing. It is also a complex process. I love the way Michael Beckwith talks about it. So he says that there are three levels of gratefulness. This is just, first, you can be grateful for the things you have. And that includes not only materials, but human things, right? For the people that you have in your life, for the things that you have availability to, the accomplishments that you have had in your life, and all those things. Right? So those gratefulness for the things you have. Then you become gratefulness for the things you thought were bad.
Oh, yes.
Is because you get to a point where you start to understand everything good they brought to you. And on top of all of it is how they help you develop, evolve, become whoever person that you are at the moment. So first you're grateful for the good, then you learn to be grateful for the bad. And then the third and highest level of gratefulness is when you are grateful for nothing and everything, but that you stop classifying. There is not such a thing as good or bad. It's part of you. It's all part of you. There is a unifying sense of all of it. You look at the world as a beautiful, intense soup of people, experiences, colors, dimensions, and that all of it comes to you to make possible that you bring something really special into the soup. Right? And so those three things are all good. They're all good. It doesn't matter where you tap, and on some day you might tap in one, and the next you might tap in the other one, and so forth, because we are not flat in the way we interact with the world. And one of the things that I love the most that he talks about is something like the more you're grateful for, the more things the universe bring to you for you to keep being grateful. Yeah. It's like it doesn't matter. Be grateful for everything and anything, and you will be given the reasons to justify that state of mind, that state of being, because it is a state of being. It's not a thought and an action. It's actually a state. It's something you become when you really tap into it, when you do it genuinely, right? And maybe you are just starting with the first ones. Doesn't matter. Just a tiny step into it. And one of the suggestions that I always give my clients is just, you know what, start a list. Start a list and intend for every day to add something to it, something new. So and it doesn't matter. It can be something you have always had but never noticed or thought about, or it could be something that happened today. Some action, some tiny thing, and just keep adding to those things. And you will come to realize that there is way more that you ever thought about for being grateful for.
Absolutely. To the breakdown of the word that you were saying, Donna, Thanksgiving, giving thanks, mm-hmm. To have a great attitude for giving thanks, right? And there's so much in that, right? Am I willing to have a great attitude as I give thanks?
Yes. So that's a full harvest lesson for everyone to take away, and not just because you're going to listen to this year round, but it's whatever those moments are. And certainly it is when it comes to the forefront that there's this holiday that's been stamped. It gives us that opportunity, right? But yeah, so God, happy Thanksgiving. Like, truly, whether you have turkey or ham or whatever, it's not about that, as you've all just learned. So anyway,
let's make it a year old.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly.
And this year in particular, because so much has gone on.
Yeah.
And I think so many people are finding it difficult to give thanks and have gratitude for what has gone on. And yet it's been such the biggest invitation that we have been given to notice so that we can give thanks and be grateful for the life that we are now creating for ourselves.
Perfect.
Beautifully said. Anyway, until next time.
Guys
and ladies.
Take care. Love you guys.